Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make these Egyptian style wirework earrings, and they look like this. So this is kind of hanging from the front. They would look like this, and they dangle nicely from the ear, so kind of like hoop earrings. So this is the effect that you get all the way around your earrings there in a set, and it's kind of to match the bracelet that I already made. I made this a while back and I got quite a few requests to make earrings to match. So I kind of came up with this design. It's the exact same technique, just kind of on a smaller scale and then made into an earring. So it's almost like I made a mini bracelet. So these go really nicely together. So if you want to learn how to make these earrings to match that bracelet, then keep watching. So these are the things that we'll need. Now first off, here I have my wire. These are both regular round wire and I'm just working with a copper color here. So the first one is a 0.8mm. This is going to be basically carrying all the beads and then making the structure part. And then this one is a 0.4mm. This I'm going to make the decoration part with. And then the beads I'm using are here. Now these are just 4mm rounds and I'm just using blue coated hematite gemstones. Also because that's what I used for the original bracelet, this kind of colour with the copper. So I just thought I would make these to match, just with a smaller size bead. And then finally down here I have my earring findings and some jump rings as well. So let's get it all together and let's get started. So we then need to cut our wires ready first of all, and what I have here is one length of my 0.8mm wire, and this is about 25 centimeters long. Now we're not going to be using all of this length, but I just want to make sure we have enough to work with and finish off the piece as well. And then we'll also need 4 lengths of a 0.4mm wire here, and these are about 50 centimeters each. So then what I'm going to do to start making the piece is take my 0.8mm wire here, and just towards one end I just want to leave a bit of a tail because we need to use that at the end to finish it off with. So working a little bit further up, so we have a long end left here, about a couple of inches, just like this. Just make a gentle bend there, not an actual kink, just a gentle bend because we need to undo that again. And then we need to just get the 0.4mm wire here as well, and first off we just need to find roughly the middle of this. So put your ends together gently, like that, and then up here, and now this is roughly the middle. So keep hold of that, and then I need to first of all fasten this to my 0.8mm. So kind of just lie them flat, keep hold of that middle, and just wrap them around the 0.8mm like this. Just once like that, so you then have the lengths of your 0.4mm going out to each their own side, just like this. So then we need to get a very first bead here because we need to use them one at a time, add them into the piece. Grab the wires here, and then on the 0.8mm we need to add this, go all the way down here, and the reason I put this bend in is just so it doesn't slide off easily, this wire and the beads, just while we're working with it. And then we basically just need to cage this bead in place. And what I'm going to do is start on one side, so we have all these 4.4mm wires lined next to each other. So what I'm going to do is just keep hold of my wire and my bead there close to each other, and then basically grab these, and as I'm doing it I'm kind of flattening them a little bit as well. Go around the side of the bead over towards the other side, but above the 0.8mm wire. You can grab it from here, so just like this. So it's looping around the side of the bead and coming above the 0.8mm wire and the bead, and then back down around. So you're basically looping around the wire just like this. So it's coming back out to the same side where you took it from, and then with the other wires on the other side here that you haven't used yet, I just like to kind of smooth them out first every time, just to make sure there's no kinks. First of all, you don't want that showing up as you're making this, but also just to have them lined nicely next to each other because it makes it look a bit nicer on the side of your beads there. So again, bring those around that side of the bead, so the one that you haven't kind of caged in yet, around the top of the bead and the top of the 0.8mm wire, and then back around the back of it again. So just like this, and back out to the side where they came from already. And then now to add the very next one, so again just grab the next bead, put that onto the 0.8mm wire from the open end here, let it go all the way down. And what I just like to do when I add a bead as well is just push down with the bead onto my wires, It just kind of neatens it up a little bit. And then we're in this position, so basically the starting position almost when we added the very first bead. So we need to do the same thing again, and always make sure you start with the same side. So in this case I'm always starting with my left side. We're going to grab those, smooth them out, take around the side of the bead, up above it and on top of the wire, 0.8 mil, back around, looping around the back again to come back out to the side where you took them. So just like that, the same with the other side, smooth them out around the side of your bead. And what can also help is if you just kind of push them against your bead as you're doing this, it will flatten them out so they lie next to each other, to try and avoid having them cross over each other there on the side, on top of the bead and the wire, and then back around the back to come out to the same side where you took them from. So just like this. So this is now 2 beads in place, and basically you just want to continue doing this to however long a length you want. The length you're going to make of this is going to determine how large your loop and your earring is going to be. So I've now reached the point where I have my last bead left. I've ended up using 16 of my 4mm rounds. Obviously, like I said, how many you use is up to you. That will determine how large your loop is going to be. So what we need to do with this last one, instead of just wrapping it the same way as the other times, we need to use this to finish off these lengths of 0.4mm wire. So what I'm going to do is, instead of taking the whole bunch from one side, what I need to do is kind of separate them out and use one wire at a time. So I'll grab the one furthest to the front first, still from the same side that I started with all the other times. Bring that round the side and over the top just as if we were doing a normal wrap. Just using just the one wire here. Around the back again. And then this time I want to just wrap it, because it's a single wire, wrap it around an extra time. And have it come towards the back, so just like that. And then what I'm going to do is cut this off at the back. So just like this. Because then the end of the wire is going to be sitting at the back here, and then kind of be covered up by the other wraps that we're going to be doing. Then I also just like to make sure I squeeze the end in, just so it's not sticking out too far or anything. So that was the one side. Now what we need to do is alternate basically. So I took one wire from the left, now I need to take one from the right, bring that around the side, over the top of the bead and the 0.8mm wire, wrapping it around like if you were using all of them, but just doing this one, going around above the one we wrapped from the other side, and then wrapping around an extra time again, and finishing it off at the back. Go in, cut this off, and then squeeze down the very end again so it's not sticking out. So we want to make sure that whatever we're making jewellery wise, that nothing's going to catch or scratch. Go back to the other side again, so starting from the left, go to the right, to the left, to the right, and keep doing this basically. All of them stack on top of each other, or above each other rather. So we're still building up that look on the side of the bead. What we're just doing is taking advantage of this last bead now and actually finishing off the wires as well. So it's kind of seamless. It's going to look the same way and blend in, but it's also practical. So I've now finished off all of my wires there at the top, so we can just bend this back out at the bottom. Like I said, it was just to stop it from coming off. So now we have this full length, and then what we need to do now is shape it. Now what I prefer to do is just, where I finish my wires off at the back there, the 0.4mm, I just like to make sure that that's towards the inside, so I kind of call that the back. But then what I just do is shape this into a circle shape. So you can also shape it around something round that has the size you want it to be. But we just need to get it into a circle shape here to have the two ends of your weave and your beads there meet each other just like this. So you have something like this. And then what I'm going to do is, this is where I finish off my wires. I'm also going to make sure that's kind of pointing towards the back. Obviously it doesn't really matter because it depends how you put it onto your earring wire. It's just how I like to work with it. So I'm going to grab that, and this is then the end of my 0.8mm wire, where that's coming out from where I finished off from 0.4mm. That's what I'm going to bend straight upwards. So put an angle in there and have it coming straight upwards like that. And then with the other one, we need to basically fasten this around there So what I'm going to do with that is just go a little bit further up than where my 0.4mm starts or ends, just so I have a little bit of space just around that 0.8mm, because what I want to do is a wrap loop here. So I bend this outwards to the side, so look from the top, it's going to sit like this. This one is pointing straight up, and this one is pointing out to the side. And then I'm just going to take some round nose pliers here just to get my loop started. Then bend this a little bit around like that, because then what I'm going to do is slot these together and then wrap this where I started the loop around the other one. Just hold it in place and wrap it all the way around. So basically, like you're making a loop, we're going to end up then actually making a wrap loop to make sure it's nice and secure. So just work with it like this and just try and get that loop around the wire as tight as you can around that wire. It's still going to move up and down, but we're going to fix that once we then make the loop with this long tail. But we have this then, so try and keep hold of that, and then this tail that we have left that we made that first loop with, we need to make the wrap loop, go through the center there of your loop where your beads are, and then just basically wrap that little space that you left before you made the bend. So that's how we're going to be making the wrap loop here. You can also use pliers if it's a bit easier to get to. So just take your time doing this, and if anything bends out of shape a little bit, just bend it back in place. So we're using wire, so that's absolutely possible. And also, if this ends up going out of shape while you're working with it, we can always shape it back into the round shape afterwards. So don't worry too much about that. Just focus on getting your loop and your wrap nice here. So nice and tight and nice and even. All the way down to this 0.8mm meets up with that 0.4. So we basically filled in that space. And then when it's coming towards the inside of our loop, that's where I want to finish it off. So get my wire cutters, flush cutters again. Cut it off towards the inside of the loop there. And again, like before, just make sure you get your chain nose or something and squeeze that end down. And I like to do a bit of a roll in the direction that the wire is going, because then it's going to really nestle in there and get tucked away, so we don't have a bare end to be able to scratch or catch on anything. So there we go. Now this one side is attached to the other side. So what we need to do now is a loop with this one that we can then use to attach to the earring finding. So just make sure that it's pushed all the way down here. I'm going to put my flat nose or chain nose in. Again, leave a little bit of space to make that wrap loop. Make the bend towards the side. It really depends on the earring wires and how you want it to hang. I'm going to put it towards the side, and then take in my case I'm just using veil making pliers because I like to make sure I always use the same size loop so my loops get nice and consistent. You can also use round nose pliers, it's perfectly fine. Place that on top there of your bend, bend this back around and then around the front again. So like this, so you have a circle there now, a nice loop. And then I like to take my chain nose pliers and hold on to that loop so it's not going to go out of shape as we're making the wrap here. Hold on to that nicely, and then the tail, just the wrap that we just did, just like that, I'm going to fill in the little space that we left to make these wraps so it becomes a wrap loop and ends up being much more secure. So just like this. And again, if anything goes out of shape, just put it back into shape. And then you just want to finish off your 0.8mm wire here. So keep filling up that space. Go in, take your cutters, cut off the excess. Just like that. And again, make sure you squeeze down that very end that you just cut off. And there you then basically have the finished hoop. So all that's left to do now is attach this, use that loop that we just made to attach to your earring findings with your jump rings. Obviously you want to make 2 of them as well, 1 for each ear. So attach them, and then once you've done that, you're going to have your finished earrings. So I've now attached the findings here, and then this is how your finished earrings are going to look. So you have this embellishment around your beads going all the way around, just like this, and then they dangle nicely, so like some hoop earrings, just like that. And like I said, it goes nicely with the previous bracelet that I already made using the same technique. In fact, what we almost really made is a mini bracelet, you could see. You could kind of call it that. And it fits nicely, so you can have a nice set out of that. So that's how you make these earrings, nice and simple and fairly quick as well. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you very much for watching. Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make this triple row wirework bracelet. And this is what it looks like. So there's 3 rows of beads next to each other, while the middle one is a bit on top of the others. And then you have wire crisscrossing over each other all the way around, and you have some macrame at both ends. And then you loop and hook for the security.